maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you work, what you do, and yeah.
I guess so. I'm a co-founder and director of AI and machine learning at Akara Robotics. But just, I suppose, to give you a bit of background about my journey to this point. So I actually started out studying mechanical engineering at DCU. And then coming out of that, I kind of knew I wanted to work in more of the IT industry. So I did a conversion course to kind of improve my skills in programming and software development. So that allowed me to get a job for an IT company. So, well, it's not an IT company, but it's a tech company called Etsy. And they are a really great company. They're kind of like a online marketplace for handmade goods. So I got a job there on the IT team, and I got to work on the software development team and DevOps. So I got quite a bit of experience. But I guess I was kind of becoming interested in AI and machine learning, and I knew I wanted to kind of move my career in that direction. So I left my lovely job at Etsy, and I pursued a master's degree at UCD in computer science and machine learning. So that really allowed me to kind of jumpstart my career in AI. And I guess from there, I kind of developed this interest in robotics. And I knew that one group in particular from Trinity College Dublin called Akara were doing really interesting work in the area of robotics. So I joined them as a co-founder and to kind of lead the AI development on their robots. So Akara build robots for the healthcare industry, so to empower care workers and frontline workers in their roles. So what we're working on now is building an autonomous UV cleaning robot, and we started this development at the beginning of the pandemic. So the robot we're developing now is called Violet, and Violet shines UV light on surfaces and kills bacteria on those surfaces. So I suppose my role in terms of my technical role, I would build the software that allows Violet to autonomously navigate around a room without human supervision. And then there's also lots of other areas I work in, but I suppose that's my main area. And then as a co-founder, I also have kind of an additional role of looking for investment, looking for grants, and trying to build the business direction of Akara.
Yeah, well, that's quite a journey there. And yeah, as AI development lead, I assume you have maybe a favorite machine learning technique that you could excite us about.
I suppose the area that excites me most is computer vision. I don't have a specific favorite algorithm, but I definitely was always fascinated by how we can get so much information from pixels, and how, for example, a CNN can pick something up and you won't know what shape it's drawn to or what it uses to make a certain prediction. I always found that really fascinating. And then I guess in terms of AI and robotics, where I'm most interested in that area is kind of social AI in a robot. So how a robot can, identify who's trying to speak to it, what it should say. And there's just so much involved in one simple interaction that we take for granted, and that trying to, I suppose, come up with a network of algorithms and how to design the overall architecture of algorithms to be able to, replicate a social interaction is something that I guess really fascinates me. And that would involve, I suppose, computer vision, where the robot is able to tell who is in front of it, and then also natural language processing algorithms for dialogue systems. So I suppose computer vision algorithms are kind of my favorite.
Yeah, well, when you talk about computer vision algorithms, I assume there's a lot going on behind the models. Does explainability really matter to you, your team and your stakeholders?
Yeah, I guess we as well would have robots in that would be around kind of very vulnerable populations, and we are always concerned about what data we're streaming in from the robot. And, I suppose more rather than explainability, but more in that area of what data we're using to train models, what data we're actually collecting, where we're sending it, is something that we're always very concerned about, and that we, put a lot of thought and effort into what the best way of doing it is. So, for example, when we're thinking of how we're going to run the models, rather than using kind of cloud services where we have less control, we would opt to run models on board the robot. And so we kind of have that extra, we've cut out that extra, I suppose, step that the data would have to go. So we've kind of reduced the opportunity for any kind of security risks or anything like that. And something that's also really important to us is, I suppose, the data that we're using. So for example, we want to make sure it's not biased. So I can give you an example of an algorithm that we were thinking of training, is trying to detect if someone was happy or sad, or just emotion detection from the faces we were detecting. And a lot of the people we deal with are an older population. So it's actually, a lot of the open source models are trained on kind of, the data sets are collected in colleges, and it's mostly younger people. So we were finding that the emotion detection wasn't working as well, and found out that that was probably the reason, because it's kind of more difficult sometimes when someone has an older face to be able to detect the emotion, or if someone had a stroke, or is just their face is kind of slightly changed. And we just had to really take into account that the population we're dealing with, we need to make sure that our data covers that.
Yeah. Well, that's very noble of you, because AI ethics is a very huge issue out there. And speaking of that, what do you think are the achievements in AI that you think will transform your work or your domain area, say in the next 2 years or so?
Okay. I really like that question. There's so many different options. I guess robotics specifically has always kind of been an area that people are a little bit wary of investing in, or taking a chance with, because it's kind of got a hardware element, that it's not just a software, it's kind of an unknown as well. But I guess with the pandemic that has hit, a lot more people are just turning towards technology for answers, and a lot more effort and a lot more resources have now been put into robotics and AI. And I feel that roboticists are actually now more likely to use kind of newer machine learning techniques, are more open, and are kind of collaborating more. Because I feel that during the pandemic, everyone was kind of collaborating and trying to solve problems and turning towards technology, that I think robotics was maybe a little bit behind some of the more advancements in AI. And I feel that over the next 2 years, it will kind of catch up and maybe implement more of the kind of newer algorithms that are out there.
Yeah. Thank you for that answer. And finally, what do you think is the #1 skill or competency that you would think a machine learning PhD graduate should have?
Okay. Yeah, so I think technical skills are always really important, but personally, when we're looking to hire, or if we're looking at, someone joining the team, we really look at, how much of a team player you are, how much you're able to work in a group of people and communicate, and, kind of be in a way robust. So being able to apply yourself to a problem maybe that you haven't seen before. So I know that when we're looking at people joining the team, technical skills, I feel, can always be learned, but I feel that we always look for someone that really wants to make a difference and really wants to be on the team. So I guess in a way, like, for graduates to not just focus on technical skills, but also on showing that you have ability to work on teams, whether that's working on separate projects, or just getting outside experience and working on a technical team. That's definitely something that we look for.
Yeah, thank you so much. I guess we'll have all of those skills ready with us by the time we graduate.